Why a narcissist can stay married for decades. If narcissists are easily bored, if they need different sources of supply, if they chase and seek novelty, why do some of them stay in long-term relationships or marriages that last 10 years or more? What's going on? Are they driven by the guilt of abusing their partner, telling them, okay, now that you have abused them for a long time, you have to stay committed, you have to stay in that relationship? What do they want and why does this happen? Well, let's find out in today's episode. I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional, your host, and today we are going to talk about why a narcissist can stay married for 10 years or more. The short answer to why a narcissist stays married for more than 10 years is simple. They are getting something from you that they cannot get elsewhere. Now, that something varies across the board. It depends on the type of narcissist you're dealing with and what their biggest unfulfilled need is. For example, some narcissists turn their partners into their parents. You are forced to become their mommy 2.0 or daddy 2.0, fulfilling every wish and demand unconditionally. But the narcissist accepts that selfishly, without realizing that there is a real need for reciprocity. Other narcissists stay in long-term relationships if there's money involved, inheritance, or if there is a chance for them to destroy this person inside out, to eat them alive until they're left a shell of themselves, and then the narcissist leaves with everything. Have you heard of that wasp that lays an egg in another insect's body, and that egg grows inside into a larva? The larva feeds on this alive insect, the host body, and then finally, when it comes out, it leaves the body of the insect like a shell. The larva then develops into a fully grown wasp. This is the exact relationship this type of narcissist builds with its victim, with its target. The final reason this type of narcissist chooses to stay in a long-term marriage or relationship is image. Image means everything to a narcissist, and unfortunately, in some cultures, marriage is the finish line. If you're married and have children, you are well accomplished, you are socially acceptable. That means you will get a lot of validation, attention, admiration, adulation, and you will be put on a pedestal. You know how important that is to a narcissist. They don't want to lose that, it's a trophy they get to show to everybody. And not staying married means disgrace to them. So they stay in it not for you, but for the social validation, to avoid being ashamed and feeling disgust towards themselves, to avoid blame. Let's rewind a little bit and talk more about parentification, how a narcissist turns you into mommy 2.0 or daddy 2.0. At their core, a narcissist is nothing but an underdeveloped 2-year-old kid stuck in an adult's body. They may be biologically 20, 25, 30, whatever, but emotionally and psychologically, they're not more than 2 or 3. So when they step into a relationship or a marriage, they may say they want a partner, but they do not. They want a parental figure, a mother or a father who they can hate and at the same time, get unconditional love from. This is the reason why you, as a narcissistic abuse survivor, may feel like you are dealing with a kid, not with a partner. You are dealing with a child of yours because you have to pamper them, give them attention all the time, validate them, and you cannot say no. You have to be there all the time, you cannot have your own personal life. It's all about them, and that partnership is nowhere to be seen or found. Things become more complicated, and you take on this role of a parent quite easily if you have your own trauma, which leads to you having weaker boundaries or having this unfulfilled need of being seen. Probably you had a narcissistic parent of your own who forced you to please them, to serve their needs, to serve their ego, so you were raised as a caretaker. Now, there is nothing wrong with caring for others, but when it happens at extreme levels and at the expense of your own sanity and stability, that is when it becomes a trauma response. This adult narcissist that you are married to has tapped into that trauma and knows you have those wounds. So what do? They weaponize it against you. They make you please them the way you tried to please your parents. the way you tried to serve them. This may be your trauma bond with a narcissist, which is making it extremely difficult to leave, and unfortunately, years get wasted. Now, I'm not saying it's your fault or you are doing it to yourself. Please don't misunderstand me. What I'm trying to do here is explain the complex and complicated dynamics of such relationships, and how the narcissist kind of becomes your parent, and they expect you to become their parent, but because you can't, it's impossible, they punish you. And because they could not take that hatred out on their actual parent who abused them, they take it out on you, they punish them through punishing you. Doesn't make sense? It sounds really weird, but that is what we call transference in psychological terms. What is the need that you fulfill in this scenario? You give them continuous supply, you do whatever it takes to keep them happy. But they are never satisfied, and they do not leave you because they know you're going to be there always for them, and you are going to play the role of that caretaker. That is what is in it for them. The second scenario, the relationship between the wasp and the target insect. The narcissist has recognized you have a lot of money, or that you have a business you're working on, but it will take some time for them to steal it away from you. They cannot do it right away. First, they lay eggs. I'm sorry, I have to compare it with this crude example, but they lay eggs in your situation. That means they have children with you, and you're tied to them. Now you cannot easily leave, and then they start guilt-tripping you. They are all in, only to pull back and say, if you want this relationship to continue, if you want to stay in your children's life, then you have to do X, Y, and Z, which more often than not includes giving them money, putting assets in their name, destroying your business, destroying yourself, cutting off ties with their family and friends, leaving everybody, leaving probably your own country, everything behind, and becoming their total slave. That is how they take over. And the problem is, those who mean or matter the most to you are controlled at this point by this wasp, by this narcissist, and they know that they can use that relationship with your children that is so valuable to you to harm you, to control you, to force you to do things you would not do otherwise. So this type of narcissist stays only to take over fully one day. But it's not like they do it all at once. Now, it's like they spend years making their way in, making sure that they set you up for failure, and they leave you no option at the end except giving up and giving in. The third example that I gave you, the narcissist who stays in the marriage for their image, well, you understand it, why? But I need to give you some personal examples. Both of my parents are narcissists. If you do not know already, my father is a malignant narcissist, my mother is a covert vulnerable victim type of a narcissist. They hate each other, you can imagine the dynamics. But they do not leave each other. Why? Because they are each other's supply, of course. Primarily, it is the image that matters. What will people say? How will they be perceived? Because they want a picture-perfect family, that is how they want to project it. So they don't talk about it, they don't bring in other people, they don't take it out. It's about their respect in society that they are afraid of losing. The relationship of this narcissist with you may be extremely dysfunctional, like there is nothing left, there's no intimacy, there is no connection, children have left, but they'll still stay. Not for you. And they may make it about, see, I'm physically here, that means I love you. No, it simply means, I have established control over you, and I'm not leaving you because I'm afraid of my image getting ruined. That is what it is. So all in all, my point is they do not stay in long-term relationships or marriages because they feel committed or they feel some kind of guilt. Of course not. You know better than me how they cheat even when they are married. When they are in long-term relationships, they go out and do all sorts of stuff they're not supposed to do. But they always come back to their primary source of supply, because that is what they have to protect at all costs. It's about getting their main needs fulfilled. Sometimes it can be just having food to eat, clothes cleaned, washed, somebody there to take care of the children, and so on. That is what it is primarily all about.